Hello and welcome to Eco Girl in a Modern World. My name is Shelley and my channel is dedicated to talking about ways to be more environmentally friendly in a modern context. Today we're going to have kind of a fun video. We're going to talk a little bit about fall-winter fashion in an eco way. Now, a couple of posts ago, we talked about personal style, and I feel like anytime I post about fashion on this channel, I refer back to those posts about personal style and fast fashion, because it is very important. Nowadays, so much of our clothes are overproduced and made of very cheap materials like polyester. Polyester is oil, so that uses up a lot of natural resources. So anytime I talk about fashion on this channel, I always say that the goal of every fashion style is to try to thrift it or buy it secondhand or use the clothes that you already have in your closet. Secondly, you always want to look for natural fibers. If you do buy new, you want to buy with the expectation that you're going to wear it 30 times or more. You also want it something quality made. And again, something that that you'll get good wear out of. The last thing is a lot of what we're going to be talking about in this video today is going to reference a lot of pop culture and what's influencing our way of dressing. So anytime we talk about that, I always just want to stress that you always want to go with the style that represents you. And again, if you need some assistance with that, please check out my personal style video. It goes a long way, but a lot of what we're talking about pertains to that, like how is the fashion trends reflecting something that you want to wear because it represents you. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. This is going to be kind of a fun video. I also am going to post a few videos that reference what we're talking about here on YouTube. There's a lot of really great creators that talk about the psychology and the kind of backgrounds of a lot of what we're talking about. So hopefully it'll be fun. Now, it is the beginning of November, so we're a few days out from Halloween. Over Halloween, I had a lot of fun watching some of the new shows that were out. I do have, I have godniece and nephews that are very little, so if you see me watching some kind of kiddie shows, that's kind of why, is because I not only enjoy those kiddie shows, but I do watch them with the reference of seeing, okay, are they is there anything controversial for a little one watching it? But a few standouts that actually pertain to fashion is there is a reboot of Wizards of Waverly Place on Disney, and it's called Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. And Selena Gomez is actually an executive producer, but she also has a cameo. She kind of handed off the show to a new star named Janice, and who's a very talented young actress. But I was really impressed by the fashion in it. I know, again, it's a kiddie show, but first off, I was very impressed by the outfit that Selena Gomez wore. Again, right now we're kind of having a flashback to about 30 years ago, which would have been the 2010s. And the first Wizards of Waverly Place came out at around that time. Plus, it talks about wizards and witches. So, of course, that's a cool Halloween theme to have. So when she reintroduced the show, she came in with a lot of purples and dark blues. And I've shown you in a couple of the posts here. Velvet is a great thing to wear at this time. I've been wearing a lot of dark navy blues as well, and I really liked her outfit, and I was going to try to recreate it using pieces that I already have. First off, again, I have a tank top that I actually wore a couple seasons ago. That's that really pretty purple color. It is actually an Elizabeth and James creation, which is the clothing line that precedes the Row. It is created by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. I'm sorry. So that was one of their product lines, and it's actually, what I love about that line is that it's the The top of it itself is 100% cotton, and then the lining is 100% silk. And I've talked about this before. There's a lot of gauzy materials that are made out of polyester. That gauzy feel you can get from silk. And so I had this tank, and it was actually very hot on Halloween. So I saw, okay, that looks very similar. And then I do also have I have kind of two different jackets. I have a velvet. This was a vintage jacket that I had bought. I'm going to try to pair it. It's more of a V shaped jacket. Bought pre-owned, worn several times. I do also have more of a kind of a cropped kind of, 60s kind of velvet jacket, but I think it gives you the same effect. In the picture, she's wearing more of a duster, but I just believe that, you're really kind of going for the texture more than the actual material. There's a lot of fake velvet that is made of polyester. I actually saw one today that's like nylon and polyester. Again, if you're recreating a look, try to go vintage first. You could probably find a longer wool jacket that would look just as pretty, that you could wear in other ways. You could use that as your winter coat, and you could very easily find that either secondhand, or if you did decide to buy it new, that it would give you more wear than just the one look. So I thought that was really beautiful, and again, I thought that was an easy way. I do also have a long sleeve cotton shirt that I can wear. I did see something similar in Anthropology. It wasn't totally bad. I think it was like close to 100% cotton, but again, I'm always about buying pre-owned. I think that's the best way to go. The young new actress in the show, her name is Janice, and she's very talented. I also thought she was sporting a lot of really cute looks. I have a new pair of dark denim jeans that I have been wearing to death. I feel like dark denim is really gonna be, dark denim is not only like a 2010s kind of trend. I think it's a little bit of a throwback. In the 2010s, there was a brand called Diesel, and they really specialized in dark denim. And in that decade, we really did wear a lot of, like I mentioned in the last video I did on fashion trends, we wore a lot of caution cone orange with dark denim. And I think this dark kind of plummy purple also goes really well with dark denim. But I did see just a lot of kind of like, strapless or spaghetti strap kind of, dome-shaped tops that were made of denim. And I just, in a minute, we're going to be talking about cowboy core. And I just feel like that, it kind of crosses over really nicely the kind of whimsical kind of wizard or wizardess kind of look. And I did think that look on the young actress would be cute for younger people. And I do think that if you're in your 20s, I think you could really pull that off, kind of like the corset looking denim in a dark wash. And there's lots of that you can find secondhand. And the thing I like about denim is a lot of times you can find it in 100% cotton, which is really, really nice. One other thing that played into is that, and you probably saw this posted on a lot of my media pages, is that kind of style, that wizardess, witch, wizard kind of style, is what they really call Whimsygoth. And there's a really great creator here on YouTube called Beep World. And she did an excellent video. And I love her channel because she really does. She either creates things from dead stock material, or she thrifts. There's very few things that she buys new. She usually creates it. And Whimsygoth is really kind of the definition of that aesthetic that we're talking about. And she really had a great video. Not only that, and in that video she did a beautiful dress that she actually made that was kind of patchwork. And that's another thing that I kind of see on the radar that I think is going to be big. Both patchwork leather bags and patchwork like sweaters. And I can promise you don't have to buy any of that new. The bag brand Fossil had a patchwork bag that came out like decades ago, actually also in the 2010s. I think we're touching back to that decade a lot. That looks identical to some of the new bags that are coming out. So you can thrift this, And not only are you saving money, but you're putting things back into the cycle of things, by buying pre-owned. So I see that on the radar, and I'll definitely post that video down below. It's a great watch. It kind of reminds me of Sabrina the not Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of like the dark florals with like the corduroy and really kind of the soft textures. As we go into fall and winter, of course, you're going to be seeing suede, you're going to be seeing corduroy, you're going to be seeing velvet, and either thrifting this or finding this in natural materials is really going to be the best way to go, and I see that on the forecast. Now, the next bridge that I see this going into is, I see this kind of, a Whimsygoth kind of is a little bit of a bridge to both cottagecore, but also there's a trend that's been percolating called Boho 2.0. And it is a little bit of that kind of country kind of look, but in a, it is a little Southern California, but it's very bohemian. And I think a lot of the trends we're going to be talking about can kind of, again, bridge, aesthetics, which is the ideal thing. And, just kind of the more flowy kind of garments, the layering, the textures of the vests. And we're seeing a lot of things like bangles and a lot of corduroy. And I just feel like boho is going to be kind of like another one of the aesthetics. In a minute, we're going to talk about the big one, and a lot of cowboy boots worn with like sundresses, or kind of the prairie kind of V-necks, and again, with dark denim, is really kind of what I'm seeing on the forefront, and just in kind of more layered styles for winter, of course, because we're gonna get in the cold season pretty quickly. Now, the big one that I see coming, and I know a lot of people are probably not going to be like, this is a flash in the pan, but I really see Western wear, like Wild Wild West. And it's funny, every single time I think of this trend, I do think of the song by Will Smith, Wild Wild West, and I just hear that riff in my head. I like all the lyrics in that song. I know that's kind of a caricature of the whole theme that we're going to be talking about more. We're going to get in depth with it in just a minute, but I just like the lyrics. I always felt very analytical in the way I do things. So the lyrics, like when he says you don't want to see my hand where my hip be at, and Will Smith usually keeps it very clean, and I know that was a theme song of a movie, but I really feel like it kind of it epitomizes a lot of what we talk about when we talk Western wear. Now, before I jump into Western wear, the reason that I'm going to talk about this first, and this really does tie into it, is I've mentioned in the personal style video and the fast fashion video, a lot of times we jump into aesthetics because we want to dabble. And it is okay to dabble. We actually talked a lot about this in Barbiecore. When you go into Barbiecore, you think, okay, this movie coming out about female empowerment, let me dress head to toe in hot pink and not care where those clothes are coming from. That's where we get into trouble. When we treat our personal style like it is a Halloween costume or something that we can just switch out the moment we're bored with it, that is not really developing a personal style. And in that video, in that post, if you want to reference it, I'll post it below. But we talked about having 3 words, 2 decades, and 1 fantasy self. And in the Barbiecore video, I talked really important about, before I even went into Barbiecore, I decided what Barbie meant to me. And honestly, I was a child of the 80s, so I had Barbies. And what it meant to me is, the dolls that actually represented something substantial to me. Like Day to Night Barbie talked about actually having a job and being able to afford an apartment on your own. If you watch that video, I talked about that. Also, Astronaut Barbie, that was another one. I didn't gravitate towards the fashion dolls. I gravitated towards the ones that actually represented something that you could aspire to be. And I think that's something that anytime, and before I get into Western wear, I'm going to talk about this. That's what you want to do before you jump into aesthetic. It is completely okay to dabble, to try to find your personal style. But before you do that, maybe find out what the core, what dressing like that actually means. And we're going to talk about that more in a minute. So you really want to talk about the meaning behind the dressing, and don't just, not just treat it like it's a costume. I am also going to reference the 3 words. You hear about this on YouTube and on TikTok all the time, the 3 words that define your personal style. My 3 words are academic, eclectic, and vintage. And you'll see that every single time anytime I wear something, it references something that's old school, I don't like overly modern stuff. But throughout this video, I'm going to be talking a lot about my second word, which is eclectic. Eclectic means that it stems from different sources. It stems from different theories or different places. And I really do that because my inspiration of style comes from a book that I read, a TV show that really meant something to me, a movie that some type of moral in that movie spoke to me. So when I talk about Western core, I'm going to be referencing this just, so we can talk about it. That's really how you develop your personal style is, okay, what does this mean by wearing this? Because it's referencing some kind of culture that influenced you. You want culture to influence you, not just trends to influence you. So that said, jumping into Western wear. Western wear can get very campy. Again, I'm going to post a really great video by Mina down in the description box below. She talked about the resurgence of Western wear. I honestly think it's coming back for a lot of different reasons, and I think definitely her video is a good watch because she really talks about this. First off, I think with the advent of just feeling kind of separate from people, and just the last couple of years being tough, both financially and, if you're living in a tiny little apartment, the kind of craving to want to be out in nature, out and alone in the desert, that has really brought back a kind of sense of the appreciation of Western culture, also of Western music. There tends to be a lot of morals in country songs, and I know country songs get a bad rap of being, oh, that's a country song, my wife left me and took the dog. More than that, it talks about real world problems. Also, there's a great documentary, I think it was on either Hulu or Netflix, that talked about the influences of Black people in the origins of Appalachian music and country music. So that's getting a lot of attention right now. You have a lot of Black artists, there's been debate whether or not a song can be considered country, like what crosses genres. And then, of course, Beyonce has come on the scene with an album, and I'll tell you, I think that really sparked off a lot of things. That disco ball hat cowboy hat she had, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to wear that. But that's a good watch. I'll put the video down below. But basically talking about us kind of returning to hometown morals. Also, this being an election year, we are coming up on a new 4 years of change, regardless of who wins. And it really does feel like a time of expansion, of settlement, of kind of survival. And I think all of those are themes that pertain to the West, right? So you are seeing a lot of this in culture, and you're seeing this a lot of what we want to wear. So first off, I think the rise of denim has been big. Denim, by definition, is the workwear of the working man. Jeans were created to be durable because they were worn by people who wear them out, right? So a lot of denim, Levi's started with that. That's the reason Levi's is 100 years old, is because it was worn by workmen. Also in the West, or in areas where you were, building the infrastructure of transport, both by railway, and by sea. So it's like, so denim, and just a little known fact, if even in other countries, like in Japan, they have a flower that actually gives denim its dark blue color, and that color and symbolism in that culture actually represents the working class. So denim has kind of come up, and denim has had a resurgence in the last 5 years. You're seeing it all over the boards. I mean, really, we haven't had any trends come up, but double denim has been around for a couple years now. And it's funny, in Canada, they call it the Canadian tuxedo, but here in the United States, we call it the Texas tuxedo, right? Denim on denim is a huge thing. The other thing is, I think 2 years ago, the Met Gala, the theme was Gilded Age, which was really supposed to be turn of the century New York Gilded Age, not Gilded Age of Hollywood, which is, don't even get me started. Some people did not understand the assignment. But in that, I was really pleasantly surprised to see that there was a homage given to Buffalo soldiers, who were the black soldiers that went out west. So again, I'm also expecting to see probably a little bit of military jackets kind of peaking. I think sergeant's jackets are going to kind of come into play with all of this Western wear. I think that's going to be a percolating kind of bridge offshoot of this. But that kind of brings your attention to that time. And it is good to read about that, again, to have an influence of why you're wearing Western wear. Read up about Theodore Roosevelt. He was a president of the United States. He's one of the principal reasons why we have national parks. He also was a member of the Rough Riders. The Rough Riders were a parallel also to the Buffalo Soldiers. And of course, also Buffalo Soldiers were brought in to help control the Native American population in the West. So that's another thing. That is one other trend that I'm kind of seeing too, is Santa Fe, kind of the Southwest kind of patterns. That did have a resurgence in the 2010s as well, just kind of looking like, kind of like those patterns and textures. I always say, we're very mindful. You don't want to have any misrepresentation, because that was a very turbulent time. Again, you had lands being taken away from people and repurposed for other, to other cultures. But when you see it, it's like it is a representation of the West, of the Wild Wild West. And that's also what you're probably going to see a little bit, come into play. I actually have a really nice jacket. I have a winter coat that has patterns like that. And I'm probably going to be wearing it this winter as well. But when you read about it, it's good to know your history because if you know your history, there's a saying, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And I think just reading about this time in history, and I'll actually post some articles down below, really helps you connect to the symbolism behind these clothes. And we've talked about this before. Fashion is art in motion. It's art that you can wear. It's not meant to be a disposable, thing that you chase, that you empty out your closet and fill it up with a bunch of trendy pieces. It's really about defining you. And that said, before I go into Western wear and why I wear it, the influences that I had about Western culture actually started when I was 14 years old. When I was 14, and this was in the 90s, there was a TV show called The Young Riders, and this is how I got exposed to Western culture. But I used to watch The Young Riders, and it was about the Pony Express. And it was a really great show. It was very wholesome, and each episode had almost like Wizards of Waverly Place. It was kind of like a teen show, and it had a moral to every single episode. But it talked about the original Pony Express riders, and it did, it took some license with, there was, Josh Brolin, who is of Thanos fame right now. He was on it, and he played he played one of they had Billy the Kid, Jesse James. They had characters that they pretended work for the Pony Express. None of those famous characters ever really did, but they kind of played it that way. One other actor that actually did a good job in that show was Stephen Baldwin. He played Buffalo Bill Cody, and actually of the two roles, there's two roles that I thought he did really well with. That one in Young Riders, I think that character was just such a part of him. I also thought he made the best Barney Rubble ever in movies. That movie got really badly panned, but he did such a fantastic job, and I just don't think he gets enough credit. But that said, those two actors were in that show. But the reason I love that show is because there was a character named Lou who was a girl, and she had to pretend to be a boy because there were so limited jobs for women then, and she didn't want to do what regular women do. Like, she didn't want to be a tavern keeper. She didn't want to be restricted, and she was a good horse rider. And I loved her character because of course, she ends up falling in love with one of the other riders, and then she has to keep her secret from everyone else. And then once everybody finds out that she is a girl, it's like having 5 older brothers, So it's really funny. It's not funny, but it was just entertaining. And I loved her character. I really, I used to dress up like that. And it's funny, even back then, this is how crazy it was. I used to get cans of beef stew, and I would sit and read it like as if I were sitting out in the Wild West. And I really did dress like her. Like, I love, to this day, I still love a good button down with a vest. And actually, I love saddlebag kind of purses. I have a vintage Coach brown leather one that's so well made. And I actually found another black one at the thrift store the other day, and I just love it. I feel like that's kind of Western wear to me. One other thing that influenced me growing up is that there was an HBO show called Shelley Duvall's Tall Tales and Legends. They were like fairy tales. Like, Shelley Duvall had a lot of she did fairy tale theater, but she also did Tall Tales and Legends. And there was a lot of stories about the Wild West, including a lot of the kind of wild fairy tales of that land. And it's so funny when I saw barrel jeans come back, like the real rounded kind of jeans. And actually, I tried on a pair the other day. They're not bad. I'm not going for that trend. And the ones that I tried on actually were 100% cotton. And they had a good, nice weight to them. They weren't bad looking, but it really reminded me of Pecos Bill, and that was one of the Wild West stories. And I actually have the vinyl. I have the record of that. So, and it's a fun story, but it's funny. It's a tall tale. It talks about how the Grand Canyon was created and stuff like that. So that was another influence of the Wild West in my mind, even though it was like fairy tales. One other one is I used to watch the family channel Zorro, which is also that took place in California, and so we'll see that in a minute. A lot of the fashion that they're looking at is Bolero hats, and that's kind of like Zorro. It's kind of like a Zorro hat, and it's really beautiful. Selena Gomez on the cover of one of her albums actually wore a really oversized one. But it was I believe, who was it? The fashion designer. He's up and coming. Harris Reed. Harris Reed is really known for those big hats, but the smaller version is really what you can kind of dress up as, and honestly, they're very versatile. You can make a Bolero hat look very modern, and it looks so pretty. You can wear it with the sheer florals of like Whimsygoth, and kind of really bridge it without it being straight Western, and that's what you want to go for. You really want it to be something that you can wear, more than just for one trend. Now, the last thing, and this is a more modern influence for me that's really going full blown with how I'm going to be dressing for Western wear, is also a HBO reference, which is Westworld. Oh my goodness. If you've heard of Westworld, and I know in the more modern seasons, it really kind of got more modern with it, like futuristic with it. But the original Westworld actually did come out in the 70s. It is a book by Michael Crichton, who is the same author of Jurassic Park. And again, I just think that's so prophetic, because when we talk about apocalyptic futures and not playing God and not using all of our using all our oil to make polyester crap, I just feel like that kind of says something. But I absolutely loved the first couple seasons of the Westworld series. I think that, just like we talk about this percolating theme of culture, I think one of the biggest things that you see from the very beginning is that with Westerns, you're either picking the black hat, which makes you the bad guy, or you're picking the white hat, which makes you the good guy. And I think that's very psychological. And actually, the man in black, William, he had that dynamic. And as I was watching the first episodes, Dolores and having consciousness, and just it's wild. And I feel like that kind of plays into a lot of what we're kind of seeing. There's kind of a dynamic, there's a dynamic to it. It's more than just dressing like you're on the prairie. Also, if you want a good book, this is just one other book this is also an influence. It's The Unauthorized Westward Psychology. And what is it? It's by Travis Langley. What is great is that the introduction is by Tim Kaine, who is the creator of Fallout. So if you like the TV show Fallout, if you've been entranced with that, again, post-apocalyptic future, that's a good read. Also, well before Bridgerton did the classical music kind of covers of modern songs, Westworld was doing that too. And they would play, they would play some Kurt Cobain on the player piano. So when you're watching the episode, you're hearing modern day music references. And so I also have the vinyl of that, which really, just the music of it really, really hits me. But I just feel like a lot of, again, when you're styling denim on denim, if you're styling, you see a lot of those barn coats that have been coming back. I feel like this is just, again, kind of styling your life based on, these kind of percolating themes of culture, feeling like you're like the world is opening up. Like it feels a little savage and untamed. You kind of feel like you're out in the desert with no water. It is kind of about survivalist and being kind of badass, and being the working man, working hard, staking your claim maybe as well. And so again, when you go into it, and again, I'll reference back to the Wild Wild West song. That's a very campy cover, but all of they talk about, the themes, really, that's where I get my influences. Pecos Bill, Tall Tales and Legends, The Young Riders, Zorro, Westworld. And it gets progressively more edgy. And I apply my 3 words to it, and I'm really going to be trying out this style. To be honest, I did go into Target and I saw a white hat, but I did not buy it because, first off, it was, it's something I'm buying new. It was 100% polyester, and I really, space is at a premium. If I'm not going to wear it 30 times, I'm not bringing it into my house, right? But there is ways that I can style this, and actually, and again, in my commitment to be posting more, I'm going to be posting ways that I'm going to be thrifting this outfit. So I'm going to be doing a hashtag of thrift that fit. And you heard it here first. I'm going to be recreating a lot of the styles that you're seeing. Now, again, I don't go for sequins. I'm not doing the disco ball Beyonce hat. I'm sorry. That is too McBling for me. But I will definitely go for these styles, these traditional styles, because I just think, there's ways. I'm influenced by, that culture. And so, it's funny, I even saw, if you ever meet me in person, the symbolism of the Pony Express rider actually has a very deep meaning in my life. That symbol came to me at a very pivotal time in my life, and it directed me where I was supposed to go career-wise, and it even pertains to my environmental journey. So if you ever meet me in person, please ask about that. But, with that in mind, I do love the Pony Express. That's what Western wear means to me. It's funny, the post office, the actual U.S. Post Office did have a cotton t-shirt. It wasn't available anymore. I think they must have sold out of it because it's not available on their website anymore. But I did buy one. It's 100% cotton, and again, I don't do that lightly. I don't buy a million t-shirts for their campy value. But I've worn this thing more than 20 times. I actually wear it to bed. It's comfortable, it's long sleeve, it's 100% cotton, and I feel like Lou again. And if you see me kind of, again, I'm going to apply all my rules. I'm going to look for pre-owned things, natural fibers. I'm going to kind of thrift and use my wardrobe to create these looks. And I'm going to see how I do, and I'll definitely be posting it on Instagram. Please let me know what you think. But these are the kind of trends that I see on the forefront. And so I think that's what's coming for winter. And again, just like we said, fashion's meant to influence and add to your wardrobe. And I'm really kind of thrilled the way that this is throwing back to a lot of my childhood influences and what it means to me. And what I would like you to do is, if you do want to dabble in any of these kind of themes, I would say, watch the TV show, read up about it. There's a great documentary on Hulu that's called The Discovery of Witches, or no, I think that's actually an actual drama show. But then there's also documentaries that talk about the origin of witches. There's documentaries that talk about the origins of the Wild West. Find a good Western movie or TV show that you enjoy. I just ask, please do that and find the core of this aesthetic that really resonates for you, and then style it based on that. And look for natural fibers, try to buy it pre-owned, try to thrift it. And I would be very honored if you would send it to me or tag me, or, see what, I would love to see how you did it and what it means to you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave it short. I'm going to wrap up. But I would, please let me know. Please comment, like, subscribe. Please let me know if you feel like any of this was, kind of gave you a good decision about whether or not Western wear is for you. Are there other trends that you would like to see more of? Please leave that as a comment down below. And, and please check out my Instagram. I'm going to be posting a lot over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.